Hello my dear students, how are you? If you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe the channel. You'll be getting more and more videos. So, today's video, I'll be starting with the general characters of pteridophytes. In my previous video, I completed bryophytes. So, this upcoming videos, I'll be trying to complete the entire plant kingdom up to life cycle. So, please follow my videos. So, subscribe so that you will be getting all the information about my next videos. So, now let's come to the point. So, we will first start with general characters of pteridophytes. So, pteridophytes are tracheophytic archegoniate embryophytic cryptogams without seeds. Tracheophytic is they are having vascular tissues. Archegoniate is the archegonium is developed, and embryo is developed in them, and they are without seeds. They are the first true land plants. Next point will be they are the first true land plants with vascular tissues. That is, vascular tissues are developed for the first time in these plants. So, they are first true land plants. They are also commonly called botanical snakes due to their creeping habit. Due to their creeping habit, they are also called botanical snakes. And habitat, if we come to the what is habitat, most of the plants are terrestrial. They grow in moist, shady localities. There are with few exceptions like aquatic, we find Azolla, Salvinia and Marsilia. These are aquatic. Some are epiphytes also. Epiphytes are the plants which grow on the other plant only for food, or sometimes both for food or only for shelter. There are different types of epiphytes. So here these plants grow only for shelter. Selaginella oregana is one example. Lycopodium is another example. There are some xerophytic species also like Selaginella lepidophila. Next, another important features of pteridophytes are mainly used as soil binders, and they are used for medicinal purpose. Most of the plants are used for medicinal purpose. So they are ornamental plants also. Ornamental plants are those which grow for their beauty, like in gardens. So we find most of the plants, they are ornamentals also. Now, next point, dominant stage in pteridophytes is a sporophytic stage, and herbaceous, and they are rarely trees. Sporophyte is dominant. Sporophyte means it is a diploid stage, and it is a spore producing plant. Sporophyte always it produces by formation of spores or by vegetative propagation. A sporophyte can never reproduce by sexual method. Now, sporophyte is differentiated into true root, stem and leaves. Here the word true we are using because they have vascular system. So, they are called as true root, stem and leaves. Root system here is of adventitious type and is normally absent in case of Salvinia. Salvinia is a hydrophyte. So, it is absent in Salvinia. Stem is underground and it is a rhizome. Rhizome, it is an underground stem and it stores food and also propagates vegetatively. Aerial stems are present. They may be prostrate generally. Prostrate are those which grow horizontally. Some may be even erect also, which grow vertically. So both prostrate and erect aerial stems are present. Leaves are microphyllous leaves. Microphyllous means they are very small sized leaves, like we find in Lycopodium, Selaginella and Equisetum. Lycopodium, Selaginella, Equisetum, they show microphyllous leaves. Leaves may be macrophyllous also. That means the large size leaves. These macrophyllous leaves, which are found in ferns and like in terrace, these macrophyllous leaves are also called as fronds. The term frond is used for macrophyllous leaves. Now, all vegetative parts of the sporophyte, if we observe, they consist of vascular tissues. Here, one point to be noted down is only sporophyte consists of vascular tissues, not the gametophytic stage. Gametophytic stage is atracheophytic, whereas sporophytic stage only consists of vascular tissues. And now if we take, steel is very complex different types of steels are evolved here. A complex steel is formed in pteridophytes. Stellar system is for the first time evolved here. So a complex steel we find. So mainly 4 types of steels are formed. We start with the first one, that is proto-steel. Proto-steel is one. It is a very primitive steel, first formed steel. Meaning of pro means primitive or first formed. Center consists of xylem surrounded by phloem. It is without any medulla or pith. Medulla or pith is the central parenchymatous part which is found normally in the stems or even in the root also. So here medulla or pith is absent. So it is called as non-medullated steel, which is called as a protosteel. Siphonosteel. It is called as a medullated protosteel. That means there is a medulla or a parenchymatous tissue present at the center. It is surrounded by xylem and then by phloem. So such type of steel is called as a siphonosteel. Now the third type of steel is solenosteel. Solenosteel is a type of siphonosteel. Here it is with leaf gap. A type of siphonosteel with leaf gap. Now here we should see what is a leaf gap. A leaf gap is a parenchymatous tissue which is present between the stalk of the leaf. Here if we take, this is the leaf, this portion is, we can call it as the stalk of the leaf. So as you know, the vascular bundles must enter from stem into the leaf through petiole or stalk of the leaf. So normally vascular bundles are in continuation. Suppose there is vascular bundle entering, it continuously enters into the petiole. But here in this type of steel, there will be a parenchymatous tissue separating the vascular bundles of stem and vascular bundles of leaf. So this parenchyma tissue separating the two regions. What are the two regions? Vascular bundles of stem and vascular bundles of leaf. This is called as a leaf gap. So in siphonosteel we find, in solenosteel we find a leaf gap. So it is called as siphonosteel with leaf gap. So when a siphonosteel has leaf gap, then we call it as a solenosteel. Now next is dictyosteel. Fourth type of steel is called as a dictyosteel. A dictyosteel consists of a circular arrangement of many protosteels. Here we can find many protosteels. Already I told you what is a protosteel. A protosteel will have xylem surrounded by phloem. So a ring of such protosteels are present. These are separated by leaf gaps. This parenchyma tissue present in between is called as a leaf gap. So such type of leaf gap is also named as overlapping leaf gap. And each of the steel is called as a meristeel. So a dictyosteel can be defined as a ring of meristeels. A ring of meristeels, we call it as a dictyosteel. Now, next if we take what is composition of xylem here, so with some exceptions. So here normally vessels are absent in the xylem. But there is an exception. Vessels are present in these plants like Selaginella and Equisetum. Selaginella and Equisetum we find vessels. Then next coming to what is the method of reproduction in the sporophyte. Till now all the points we are discussing with respect to the sporophyte, which is the dominant phase in the life cycle of pteridophytes. Now coming to the reproduction, how a sporophyte reproduces. Sporophyte reproduces by formation of spores. So for that, first a strobilus or a cone is formed. A strobili or a strobilus or a cone is formed. A strobilus or a cone is formed by collection of many reproductive leaves together. Those reproductive leaves together is called as each reproductive leaf is called as sporophyll. So during the process of reproduction, normal vegetative leaves will be transformed into reproductive leaves called as a sporophyll. And a strobilus or a cone is a compact arrangement of all sporophylls together. That is called as a strobilus or cone. So strobilus or cone formation we find in these three examples: Selaginella, Equisetum and Lycopodium. Whereas in other plants we don't find any such strobilus. They are only loose arrangement. Like Pteris, there is another example of Pteris where there is only a loose arrangement of sporophylls is seen. There is no compact arrangement. So when all are arranged together, so what is the meaning of compact arrangement is it appears this way. All sporophylls together, they form a conical structure. So this conical structure we call it as a cone or strobilus. Now each strobilus consists of, what is the composition? What will each strobilus consist of? Strobilus is a singular of strobili. Each strobilus consists of sporophylls which form sporangia, and then within the sporangia many spores are formed. That is how their function or each strobilus consists of. Now here we have to see the sequence of formation. Suppose if we take these structures, how they are formed. Sequence of formation. First sporophyll will be formed. That is, a reproductive leaf is formed. From the vegetative leaf, a reproductive leaf is formed first. And all the sporophylls together will form a compact structure called strobilus. And then it consists of sporangia, and finally the spores are formed. So the sequence we can say sporophyll, strobilus, sporangia and the spores. Then next we will see another sequence based on the size if we take. Based on the size if we take, the strobilus is bigger. It is an aggregation of all the sporophylls. Then the sporophyll, sporangia and the spores. Now the spores which are formed inside the sporangia, they are all haploid in nature. Due to meiosis of spore mother cells, they are formed. So haploid spores are produced inside the sporangia. Most of the pteridophytes are homosporous. Homosporous, earlier in bryophytes also we discussed, homosporous is all spores are of same type. So homosporous, like for example in Lycopodium. Heterosporous also is seen in Selaginella and Salvinia. Heterosporous is two types of spores are formed here. Two types of spores. Smaller spores are formed called as microspores. They are small in size. Larger spores are formed called megaspores. So two types of spores are formed called as microspores, which are smaller in size, megaspores which are bigger in size. And these spores are the first cells of gametophytic generation. Spores will germinate and form independent gametophyte. So spores, they are the first cells. So once the spores germinate, the gametophytic generation will start. Now let us see what are the features of gametophyte and how does it reproduce. So first we can describe what is a gametophyte. First thing you know, it is a haploid stage. So a gametophyte is haploid. It is free-living, photosynthetic, thalloid, thallus-like. A gametophyte in pteridophytes, it shows a thallus-like structure. It is ephemeral structure. That means it is a short-lived structure. It is an ephemeral structure. And this ephemeral or this haploid gametophyte is called as a prothallus. Pro related to primitive. Thallus-like structure. So it is called as a prothallus. So suppose you use the word prothallus, that means it should be related to pteridophytes only. You should relate it to pteridophytes. Now earlier in the sporophyte we discussed homosporous and heterosporous. A homosporous species will form monoecious prothallus. Monoecious prothallus. Now what is monoecious prothallus? A monoecious meaning means both the sex organs, male and female sex organs, when they are present on the same plant. So here on the same thallus when they are present, then it is called as a monoecious. Suppose a monoecious prothallus, if we observe in a monoecious prothallus, both the antheridia, so here this is prothallus is generally a heart shaped in this way, and just near the apex, it shows archegonia are present, and towards the base, it shows the presence of antheridia. And also rhizoids are also present. So rhizoids are present and antheridia are present, antheridia and archegonia. So when both antheridia and archegonia present on the same gametophyte, then we call it as a monoecious. So if it is homosporous, they give rise to monoecious prothallus. If it is heterosporous forms, they give rise to dioecious prothallus. Dioecious is both antheridia and archegonia. They are distributed on two different prothalli, two different gametophytes. Prothallus is dorsiventral and heart-shaped. Dorsiventral means it is a very flat structure. It has a dorsal and ventral surfaces. So all these structures like rhizoids are present. The rhizoids, already you should know the term, it is not true roots because gametophyte is atracheophytic. The vascular tissues are present only in the sporophyte of pteridophytes but not in the gametophyte. So here we don't call them as roots but we call as rhizoids. And antheridia are present, archegonia. All these structures are present only on the ventral side. So ventral side is the side which is closely attached to the soil. It is closely present close to the soil. That is called as a ventral side. So on the ventral side we find all these structures are present. Now the gametophyte, it requires cool, damp, shady places. Why it requires cool, damp, shady places? Because it is atracheophytic. So here many reasoning you will get. The points here very clearly you have to read each and every point from the textbook. So gametophytes, when they grow in cool, damp, shady places and water is required for fertilization. So because of these reasons, because it requires a cool place, shady place and water is required for fertilization, the spread of the living pteridophytes is restricted to narrow geographical regions. That is, they cannot live in other places wherever the water is not available. So narrow geographical regions is wherever the water is available they can survive. They cannot survive in dry places. So gametophyte of pteridophytes is totally dependent on water for its survival. It cannot survive on any dry places. So it has a restricted distribution. It cannot spread everywhere. Now next, fertilization is chemotactic and oogamestic. Chemotactic, earlier we discussed in bryophytes. It takes place with the help of the sugars which are formed at the tip of the archegonium. So here also chemotactic. Here at the tip of the archegonium in pteridophytes, the malic acid is formed. Malic acid is formed. So it is taking place with the help of chemicals. So we call it as a chemotactic and oogamestic. Here one very important point about sex organs. Comparing with bryophytes, what you have to remember here is sex organs, antheridia and archegonia. So here the sex organs, they are multicellular, they are sessile and jacketed. Multicellular, sessile and jacketed. Sessile is without any stalk. In case of bryophytes, we discussed the same point. Here they have stalk. Multicellular, jacketed is same. But stalk is present in the sex organs of bryophytes and here they are sessile, that is they are without any stalk. Now the next point, if we take, again very important point with respect to the need point of view, if you take, development of zygote into embryo takes place within female gametophyte. Within the female gametophyte. What is female gametophyte here is called archegonium. Within the archegonium, we find it is divided into neck and venter. And in the venter portion, we find egg cell is present which fuses with male gamete and zygote is formed inside the venter. So zygote develops into embryo inside the venter and this event is considered precursor to seed habit. Seed habit, that is formation of seeds, is found in the next group, Next group of plants, that is in gymnosperms. And here precursor. Precursor means it is a primitive character, or it is required. It is a primitive character for the seed habit which is found in the next higher group of plants, that is gymnosperms. So it is a very important step in evolution. This is as a statement given in the textbook. You have to remember it. Now lastly, we will go through the classification of pteridophytes. So here only the names and the examples we will be discussing. Details are not required for you. So try to remember all the 4 classes and the names, the examples. So pteridophytes are divided into 4 classes. First class is called Psilopsida. P silent here. Psilopsida. Psilotum. So very easy to remember. Both starting with PSI, PSI. Psilopsida, Psilotum. Lycopsida. Selaginella and Lycopodium. Lycopsida, Lycopodium example you can remember easily. Both starting with the same. And then Selaginella is another example. Then Sphenopsida, Equisetum, which is commonly also called horsetail, Sphenopsida. And Pteropsida. Pteropsida, 3 examples. Dryopteris is one example. And then Pteris and Ediantum. Dryopteris, Pteris and Ediantum. So these are all different classes of pteridophytes. So just try to remember these 4 different classes. Now in the end, I'll be giving you the important points which you can remember with respect to the pteridophytes. The first point you can remember is these are the first true land plants. First true land plants. Then we can give these are the first tracheophytes also. First tracheophytes. Then we can give the heterosporous species. Which are the heterosporous species? Like we have the example of Selaginella and Equisetum. These heterosporous species also cone formation we find in them. We also find cone formation. Then next we have other example like what is walking fern here? Walking fern, Ediantum. So in this way, just try to note down some examples and also some points. Then we can also say these are first heterosporous also. First heterosporous plants are present here. That is, heterospory is seen for the first time in these plants. So with this, I conclude, students. So these 4 important points you list down, important examples you listed down, and then try to learn all this. I think this should be enough for what you learn in the exam, for the coming exam. So thank you very much. And my next video, I'll be giving a comparative account of gymnosperms and angiosperms. Later, I'll give you a summary of all this. And lastly, we will conclude with different types of life cycles. So thank you children. Have a good day and also keep preparing for the NEET very well.